All right. Well, Steve, first and foremost, before we jump in too deep, I want to thank you for doing this. I know times right now are a little strange, and so I want to thank you for taking time out of your day, out of your life, to come on here and kind of tell your story with the world. So thank you so much for being on with me tonight.
Oh, of course, Brandon. I'm glad I could help. Love to get the word out about Brookstone, and what else have we got to do? You know, we're in the shutdown, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So for everyone joining us right now, what we're going to do tonight is Steve Wickland is a top performing real estate professional. This guy is a true pro. He's one of the top agents in the area, and he's going to tell his story about his past experiences at other large franchise real estate organizations. And then we're going to go through his transition into Brookstone, into the Brookstone Realtors family. And I want you guys to kind of hear his experience, and then we'll wrap it up. Sound fair, Steve?
Sounds good. I'm locked and loaded. Let's go.
All right. All right. So first question, how long have you been in this crazy real estate business of ours?
Yeah, it is crazy, isn't it, Brandon?
It is.
Believe it or not, 2005, I started in Ann Arbor with Charles Reinhardt Company, great independent broker. And then I was there for about 4 years, and I went to KW because I heard about that, 100% commission deal. So I went to KW in 2009, the Ann Arbor KW, another great brokerage. So I was able to attain the holy grail, the 100% commission, which for the first time, was that I experienced. That was great. So the only bummer there was, as everybody knows, you reach that 100% status, and then depending where you are in your year, at the end of your year, then you cap, and then you have to start all over. So that kind of was a bummer, but it was better than what I had come from, which was about a 50-50 split. So then from 2017 to last December, when I joined Brookstone, I was with the local RE/MAX broker in Ann Arbor. So that's kind of my story. And then Brandon, real fast, I was in Florida back in the 80s and 90s. I was in real estate in Florida. So I've got a pretty good experience, track record with real estate.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time, and yeah, you do have a great track record, and you're absolutely the professional. And
thank you.
You inspire me to want to get better at my craft, become a better leader in this industry. So thank you for that.
Wow, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. What this interview is not going to be about is bashing any other companies or anything like that. I just want people to really understand what your experience was like at these large franchises, because here's the deal. For anybody watching this now or in the future, it's very expensive, to your point, to work at one of these big name companies, and they hang their hat on, brand being everything. They tell us, because you're with RE/MAX, because you're with Keller Williams, the clients are going to come flocking to you. And so my next question is, do you think, with all your experience, do you think your clients are doing business, Steve, with you because of you, or because of that name badge of what company you work for?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's a question I've been asking myself over the last couple of years when I was at those franchise brokers. So I went, like I mentioned, I went from the independent broker to KW for 8 years. Like I said, great broker, met some great people. Then I was at RE/MAX. I've got nothing but good things to say about these brokers, except they kept way too much of my commission. I came also from a building background, Brandon. So whenever I invoiced a client for a job, I was used to getting, if I invoiced for $50,000, I got $50,000. So it was hard for me to give up any money from, on my commissions. So again, nothing against those brokers. It's just they kept way too much of my commissions that I earned. They didn't do anything to earn that commission. I went out and earned it myself. And a couple things too that, again, I'm not bashing any broker, but I love marketing, and I was, I'm always tweaking my marketing. I'm trying out of the box, marketing strategies and campaigns. Nothing illegal, nothing, not cool, but out of the box. And every broker that I worked for kind of like, hey, Steve, what are you doing there? So they were kind of micromanaging me, with my marketing. So that really rubbed me the wrong way. And then that was a big reason, along with the commission I was paying them, that I said, I've got to change. So funny story, Brandon, I don't know if you remember, but my first week with Brookstone, I was doing a video, and it was kind of, well, like I said, out of the box video. I actually put at the very end a little clip of a Big and Rich song coming.
That's right. Yep.
And, and I said, this is kind of out there, but I think it's cool. So I said, I'm going to check with Brandon. It's, his company. I want to make sure he's cool with it. And I'm going to read what you said. You said, dude, I seriously look at you and other agents in the company as partners. Thanks for checking, but you don't need to moving forward. I trust you 100%. So I thought that was amazing. I wasn't used to that kind of like, hands off, brokering.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing, right? So I want to break kind of some of that stuff down that you just talked about. To your point, this has nothing to do with good, bad, or right or wrong. This has to do with something that I call, Steve, the value exchange. You've heard me talk about this time and time again, between broker and realtor. And right now, especially right now, with everything we're dealing with this virus and this outbreak, there is a magnifying glass on this real estate brokerage business and their relationship with their realtors. And people are questioning this value between those two parties more so now than ever. And so, for people that are watching that are not in this industry, a real estate agent goes out there as an independent business owner, right? And Steve, let me know kind of what your thoughts are in here in just a second.
Sure.
Goes out there as an independent business owner. They should be able to go and build their business the way that they want. They are, for the most part, getting the clients on their own, doing their own marketing, paying for their own expenses, paying for everything, bringing business into the brokerage. And a lot of these older traditional brokerages are taking massive amounts of money away from the real estate agents, and the realtors are looking and saying, wait a minute, why do I have to give up so much of my money? And that is what we're talking about. Would you agree?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head. We're doing all the heavy lifting, and I know the brokers have their stresses and problems. I mean, they're providing a building, staff, and they've got overhead. So I get where they're coming from an owner's standpoint. But again, I'm an agent, so we've got to look out for ourselves. So get back to your point. What are we getting for that money? What is the ROI? And every time I ask that, to me, and everybody's different, but to me, I said, I'm not getting any ROI for the thousands of dollars I'm paying into a broker. I like my broker. I like the people that, I'm working with, but, it comes down to bottom line. What are you putting in your pocket, taking home to your family? Again, you said we're doing all the heavy lifting. We're making the relationships with the customer. We're holding their hand when they freak out. We're taking flack if something goes wrong. So I just don't see the value, like you said, it all comes down to value. I just don't see the value of the broker, especially for the money they charge. And I'm going to show you a whiteboard here in a few minutes. It's going to make your hair stand on end. It made my hair stand on end.
Yeah.
When I saw what I was paying over the years, and it's, you can look at something per year, but when you take 10 years of what you've paid into a broker, it'll blow your mind. I mean, I'm going to show you something in a minute, but yeah, sorry, I don't need to rant like that, but it is.
No, great. It helps people. It helps tell the story. And I think we've been clear. It's not about people, right? It's not about people. It's about the model. It's the model, this traditional real estate broker model that I think real estate agents are really, really sitting back and scratching their heads saying, man, oh man, just to your point, why am I giving up so much in return for what? And if a real estate agent can't answer the what question, what am I getting in return, they've got to start looking at some other options. So let me ask you this.
Sure.
You know, the other question, or the other thing that you just brought up, was my response to one of your first questions to me about the marketing. And I think it's important for people to understand, you know, part of who we are as a leadership group at Brookstone, we operate from a place of servant leadership. And what that means to us, as you now well know, Steve, I used to talk to you about this before you were at our company, was we believe that we work for the agent. The agent does not work for us. And so when you operate that way, we look at the real estate agent as our clients, that we're serving them, and how can we help grow their business. And so that's something that real estate agents are just not used to.
Right. And, you know, I've heard that before, you know, from various brokers that like, hey, we work for you, you're partners. You know, I've heard that before, but I never really felt it. And I feel that with you. I mean, and I'm not bashing any other broker, but you walk the talk, you know? So I didn't get that from the other brokers. Although they said that, it seemed to me that it was kind of insincere. But with you, it's really your culture.
I appreciate that. That's great. Well, so here's the deal. So, you know, how did you first hear about Brookstone? How did that look?
So it's funny because I was listening to a Pat Hyben podcast.
That's right.
And you were on it talking about your FISBO package. And, you know, that was a couple of years ago, I think. And then, you know, I said, oh, this guy's pretty sharp. And then when I heard you're from Clarkston, I go, wow, I got to check him out. So I started checking your videos out, started following you on, you know, probably YouTube. And I really liked what I saw. I said, this guy's the real deal. You know, he's really, you know, I like what he says. And then, you know, about a year or two later, you came up, I saw something that popped up, you know, because I probably was on your email list about Brookstone. And at that time, it was funny how things kind of happen at the right time. I was really looking at a different option than the traditional broker option. And then something came up about Brookstone. I went on your website. I was totally blown away by the quality of the website. And I had been checking out other brokerages as well, 100% brokerages, and I was not impressed. You know, again, I'm not being derogatory, I just wasn't impressed. I saw yours, it was pretty amazing. So I think I reached out to you, and then you and me and Ron met up for coffee, and as they say, the rest is history.
That's great. That's great. So let's kind of talk, and I want to kind of break down the story. I don't want to skip anything. So we have our first meeting, and as you say, you felt about us, we felt the same way about you. You know,
one of 4 meetings, I think, right, Brandon?
That's right. That's right. That's right. And so we were very impressed by you too. You know, our goal at Brookstone is to grow with real estate agents just like you, professional real estate agents. And it helps everybody when we grow with people like you. And so the thing that I always, you know, struggled with is real estate agents are being recruited left and right, left and right, left and right. They're being, you know, people are rolling out the red carpet, you know, whining and dining these realtors. And then when you get there, you know, it's like, well, what happened, man? All these things you're telling me about, and then I got to your company and you know, what happened? And so let me ask you this, what ultimately had you decide to make this huge decision to change companies from a national, global brand to Brookstone? What was the ultimately turning point for you?
Yeah, great question. And there's a million decisions that go into changing brokers. And like you said, it's a huge decision. And I've done it. This is the 3rd time I've done it, and it doesn't get any easier. But you know, sometimes change is necessary. So there's so many reasons why I joined Brookstone or chose to join Brookstone. Of course, the 100% commission model was a huge factor. But again, let me say this real quickly. There's a lot of other 100% brokers out there. I get emails, and I'm sure the audience does all the time, that are out there. But when you compare them to what you offer, you know, there's really no comparison. And like I said, after the initial meetup with you and Ron, I was very, very interested. You guys presented the company very well. I was very interested. but I was hesitant, a brand new company, and it was going to be a pain in the butt to change. And it took several meetings. I think you remember, and I'm sure you guys were thinking, Wickland guy wants another meeting. What the hell does he want to meet about? We've already met him 3 times, so I was really cautious. But the fact that you guys, the more I communicated with you, and the fact you guys are adding agents like crazy, I said there's got to be something to the Brookstone, model. So, then I looked at all the marketing tools you have, the KV Core, the agent support, the $299 a month. Again, I mean, that's a huge deal. Everything, the whole package was a no-brainer, and I really liked your logo.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah,
logo. I mean,
the brand.
The brand.
Yeah.
So, like I said, no-brainer. And then, lastly, Brandon, I have to say this. I hope it doesn't look like I'm trying to, make points with you, but you were really the main reason I joined Brookstone. I wanted to be in business with you because you're on the cutting edge of how brokerages are going to go forward. Like in this changing economy, the world's changing, as we all know, and business models are changing. I think the old broker model is going to be a thing of the past sooner than later. And you're on the cutting edge of this, I think, with Brookstone, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
That's great. And maybe on another interview, we could talk about that, because you're exactly right, Steve. I agree with you 100%. Before we opened Brookstone, I think I told you, I looked at opening a franchise. I looked at opening a Remax and a Keller Williams and, all these different franchises out there. But the one thing I couldn't get past, and I don't know if I've ever shared this with you, we built this company through the lens of a realtor, right? We built it through the lens of an agent, not as a broker. And I kept saying to myself, okay, Brandon, I don't believe in giving up all this money to a broker who is not doing anything for it. I'm not going to build a business model around that. I believe in the truly an agent-centric model where the agent wins a lot bigger than the broker. And we're going to talk about, people saying, well, it's too good to be true. How in the world can they do all of that? We will talk about that on this interview too. Yeah, everyone always asks me, Brandon, how can you do so much for agents for so little and stay in business? And I'll break all that down in just a second.
Yeah, I had the same question, and you broke it down. And once I heard your explanation, it said, duh, yeah, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And we'll break that down here in just a second. So now you're with the company, because here's the question that everyone always, wants to know is, It's like that Wizard of Oz moment when you pull the curtain behind. Just like we were saying before, a lot of agents have experienced, being wined and dined, and then they come into the company and nothing is what it was made out to be. What has been your experience now that you're with Brookstone?
Yeah, a lot of people, exactly. They join these companies, they're wined and dined, and then they join, and it's a real short honeymoon. Then reality sets in, and they go, oh my God, what I do. So my experience so far with Brookstone, 2 words, expectations exceeded. The onboarding process, which I was a little bit leery about, was amazing. Matt and Christy, you've got an amazing agent services team. They're some of the nicest and most helpful people that I've dealt with. Your training videos to help you get on board, were great, especially with Tom Tillier, the awesome coaching that you offer. Brookstone has a great culture and energy that I've not experienced, with the other brokers I've been with. And I'm not a big culture guy, but, you should enjoy the company you work with and the people you work with. And so far, it's been great. And I don't regret joining Brookstone for 1 second. And the experience has been awesome so far, and I expect it to continue to be so.
That's super, super humbling, Steve. Thanks for that, man. And
Sure.
100%
of it.
Thank you so much. And it's humbling because we said, listen, if we're going to grow at the pace that we're growing, we have to make the experience for the real estate agent making a life-changing decision. Right. That decision, I talk to the team all the time, Steve, behind closed doors, and I say, listen, it is up to us to either justify this decision was a good one or prove it was a bad one. And we, and I am just crazy about this with the agent services team to say, it is on us to make this experience as positive as it can be for our agents, because without the agents, there is no brokerage. And this is what most brokerage companies just don't understand for some reason.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, kudos to you guys, because again, I was kind of expecting to be more bumps than I actually experienced. And, there's always bumps. There's always things that come up, but the things that did come up, your team handled them really, really quickly. And it was a pretty smooth, again, very smooth transition. And I was, again, expectations over exceeded. So, and I'm a pretty hard guy to impress and please. I think I could be, pretty hard to please. And I was, again, 100% satisfied with the experience.
Love it. Love it. So, all right, let me move on to another kind of segment and things that for us to discuss. We talk to a lot of real estate agents about joining our company. Obviously, we keep all those conversations confidential, of course. Right. But what would you say, Steve, to a real estate agent that's been considering joining Brookstone, that was having some of the same, cautious hesitation like you did, which I think is smart, by the way. I don't think anybody should just jump at the second of it, right? So what would you say to somebody that's watching this now or in the future that's thinking about joining, but hasn't done so just yet?
Yeah, and that's the question that always comes up. It popped up, in my head numerous times. This is too good to be true. Everybody's skeptical, especially nowadays. We've all heard the saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, or what's the catch? All I can say is, you've got to do your due diligence, which I did. Again, had 4 meetings with you guys. And so, and I actually called a couple of your agents, and Tom Tillier was one of them. And I had like a 45-minute conversation with him. And, he told me a lot of great things. And I felt like he was really telling me the truth. He wasn't BSing me. You've got to go with your gut. Look at the people behind Brookstone, you, Ron, Bill, your staff. I mean, you've got to look at all that, look at the brand. I mean, anybody can look at you and tell it's a great operation. So I would just have to say, anybody that's out there that's, looking at this and they're hesitant, I, totally get that. I was, pretty much everybody is. But call Brandon, call Ron, call me. Again, I reached out to Tom Tillier, and had a great conversation with him. Look at the Brookstone model and really understand how it works. And you're going to really be amazed and figure out how much you're going to save versus your current situation versus Brookstone. And, you're going to be amazed. And remember this too. A lot of people think, and we touched on this earlier, about the broker. So many people think I'm successful because of my broker. That is totally, in my opinion, totally not true. Most people don't care about your broker. Most of my clients don't even know who my broker is if you ask them. They care about you, how you're treating them. So don't let, the fact that you've been affiliated with a broker for so long think that it's going to hurt your business. When I changed to Brookstone in the middle of December, I took 5 listings, within the next 6 weeks, and my broker, who the broker was, never came up. So don't let that stop you. And I know it's, again, tough to change. It's hard to change, but once you calculate what you're going to put in your pocket, and I think that's going to make the difference. And it all comes down to, how much pain are you feeling right now? I was feeling a lot of pain, at my old brokers, the traditional broker. I just wasn't happy. I didn't like the split. I was in pain. So I was looking at, eliminating that pain. So, but you have to, everybody's it's an individual thing for everybody, as we know.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I think, models are changing right now, and who knows what the future holds. But, I think that this brokerage model is due for a change. I think. Right. And so let's get into the numbers for a second.
Yeah. Good.
That's what a lot of people want to talk about, Right. So we'll break down, your numbers a little. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No worries. And so we'll break down your numbers and then I'll kind of talk about, how we're able to operate this way, because it's our number one question that we get. But how much money have you saved by joining Brookstone?
Well, that's the $1 million question, right? So I'm going to use what I would have paid if I were still at KW. And are you seeing this okay?
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, so at KW, my cap, I had to pay in 21,000 per year.
Yep.
And then I would cap, and then I'd be at 100%, which we all know. At Brookstone, I'm at 3588 per year. 299 times 12 months is 3588. So right off the bat, I'm saving $17,400 my first year.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And go ahead. You want to add a couple of things?
Well, so there was right off the bat, I'm saving a huge amount of money. And then let's stay with the KW model. So I was at KW for 8 years. So 21,000, and this made me sick, by the way, at times 8 years, $168,000 is what I paid to Gary Keller. No offense, Gary.
I know. I did the same thing. And when I looked at these numbers, Steve, and we looked at some of the other agents at our company, it was unbelievable how much money we parted ways with.
That's a new C8 Corvette and a nice boat, and so then taking that a little further. So let's say I stay at Brookstone, God willing, for the next 8 years. I'm going to be saving, because I'm not paying 21,000. I'm paying 3588. I'm going to, over the next 8 years, I'm going to save 139,000, almost 140,000. That goes into Steve Wickland Incorporated's pocket. So
wow,
that's kind of the money that we're talking. And if I never looked at it in this this kind of setting. I always looked at it per year. But then when I was doing my books one year, a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I was looking at my line items and KW popped up. Again, nothing against KW. It's just their model. I was very happy at KW, great company. But when I looked at what I had paid, and I think at that point I had paid almost 24,000 for that year. That was the 21,000 plus office rent and copies and all that. I looked at that. I go, what the hell? So that got me thinking. So now you've got to look at a long term. Don't look at what you're paying per year. Look at what you're going to be paying over the life of your career. I'm going to be doing this the next 10, 15 years, hopefully, but somebody brand new, that's got 25, 30, 40 years, the money they could potentially save is astronomical. So
that's a great way to look at it, Steve. I wish more of our agents would do that. And I'm sure after watching this, they will, because I never even looked at it that way. I always looked at it on a year-to-year basis. But yeah, when you look at over the life of a career,
yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Again, I don't want to get into the weeds with numbers, but that's where you and Ron come in, and I can even help somebody just, depending on the split that the agent has right now compared to what you offer. And I can almost guarantee they're going to save a boatload of money.
Yep.
That's guaranteed. So, and that money goes to you and your family, not your broker, getting your broker richer. I mean, again, nothing against the brokers. They take a lot of risk, but you now have an alternative. Before we really didn't have an alternative, Brandon, to do this. Now we do. And I think, the more people find out about this opportunity, it's just going to be a no-brainer.
Well, and thank you for that. And that's why we started this company. I mean, I was you, Steve, in the same boat. I was selling 80, 90, 100 houses a year. Yeah. With a team paying hundreds of, I think at one point I paid Keller Williams, 80, 90,000 in 1 year.
Wow. Yeah.
With splits and team splits and fees and all these different things, and so let me ask you this now. So you're saving a lot of money, which is great. A lot of people would say, well, you get what you pay for, and so you must be giving up a lot. You must not get a lot in return from Brookstone. Do you feel like you have the tools, the technology, the resources at Brookstone to continue to grow your career, or do you feel like you've given up something?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I've got more than enough. Again, my expectations were exceeded. You've got KV Core, which I'd heard about, which, EXP kind of put on the map. I'd never heard of KV Core until EXP hit the scene. That's an amazing program. That's like a juggernaut marketing system. So right there, and I looked up KV Core, what it would cost to pay for it as an individual agent. I think it's like $350 a month or something.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. So you get that. And then your support team, which, it's nice to have a good support team, behind the company.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to have the support team, to tell you the truth. I was very pleasantly surprised to find out that we had a great support team. Your training is amazing. You're putting out videos all the time. Your culture is great. And there's, like I said, there's kind of a different kind of energy that you guys have, because, it's just, you're a younger company. I noticed a lot of your agents are kind of on the younger side, which is great. So it brings that energy and enthusiasm. We've got access to you, Brandon, one of the best coaches, mentors out there, I think. And, I feel what I get with Brookstone, as far as marketing, services, support is absolutely on par with the two franchise companies I work for. But when you consider the millions of dollars they're bringing in, from the commissions and the franchise fees, you would think that they would blow your marketing away, but they don't, so
That's right.
that's
Yeah.
kind of crazy. I mean, it's kind of amazing when, you look at what you offer. It's just, it's a no-brainer.
Well, and the thing was, both of those things had to be true for us in order to build Brookstone the way that we wanted. Yes, we wanted agents to save a lot of money. We wanted the money to stay with the agent. That was important. But as important as that, we wanted to give them more tools, more training, more support than they were getting at these big franchises. Because just like we started off the interview, agents pay a lot of money. And I agree with you 100%. For all that money, you would think you'd get an assistant. They'd give you all your leads. They'd pay for your expenses. They do your marketing.
Office, free
They pay for your office. But none of that was true. None of that is true.
Yeah.
And so let me kind of walk the audience through how we are able to do this. This is a question I get a lot. And I think some people are asking, in the Facebook page right now. But the reason we're able to do this is we operate as a membership-based brokerage. We operate similar to that of a gym membership. And so we operate on smaller margins so that our agents win. And in return, our company continues to grow. And then we have a consistent cash flow model that allows us to budget properly. We know exactly what we can offer. We know exactly how much money is coming in every month. And we can run a nice, tight P&L versus the old traditional model. You don't know how much money's coming in, and it's very, very dangerous.
Right. That's right.
And that's the simple answer of it. And so, Steve, I guess I'll end with this. What does your future hold for your real estate career? What are some of your goals as you look into the future?
Well, I feel like the sky's the limit. I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders because I'm 100%. I mean, it's great. And, I'm not going to go into the details, but, it's just, it's like I said, it's a weight lifted off my shoulders. I feel like, again, I'm on a cutting edge with a cutting edge company. I think, again, your type of brokerage is going to really, change the landscape. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm excited about the future. Eventually, who knows, would love to get an office here in Ann Arbor. I think that's a possibility down the road. So yeah, I'm very optimistic, about the future as long as we can get this damn pandemic thing under control. And speaking of that, Brandon, I don't want to get into the market slowdown and all that, but I've already lost 4 deals because of this pandemic, and who knows what's going to happen. I definitely think it's going to affect the real estate market. I think it's going to affect our sales, our income. So, I feel a little better about the whole situation because, I know that my deals going forward, the ones that do close, I'm going to get 100% commission, and hopefully they'll make up for the 4 that I lost, the commissions I lost, because I'm getting 100%. So, I just, that you can't say enough about the split, the 100% split. It makes such a difference. And, if I want to do a special deal with a client, like a medical client that I want to give back a rebate because of what they do, I've got so much leeway. It just opens up so many opportunities. And, and I think the brokers are going to be feeling some pain, the traditional brokers,
Yep.
very shortly. I mean, KW.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are right now.
Yeah, absolutely. KW, I don't know for sure, but there's some rumor that they're going to be suspending, the profit share.
Yep.
Redfin laid off 41% of their agents. I mean, this pandemic has really affected the market, and who knows when it's going to turn around. It will turn around. But in the meantime, I and my colleagues at Brookstone, we're, I think, in a better situation to handle the storm, so to speak, because we're getting more money on our deals. I know that sounds kind of mercenary, but bottom line is we need to make money and make a profit. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, and you're right. This thing, we will get past this thing.
Yeah.
I think there's finally some good news coming out that things are starting. The reports are coming back where the spread is slowing down. I think that in the next couple of weeks, as the weather breaks, I think some of the stay-at-home stuff will get lifted, and we'll get past this. But to your point, that's the other lens that we look through. We believe Brookstone right now, Steve, is positioned in the marketplace perfectly to help a lot of agents push through.
I agree.
It's a lot of the people I've been consulting with have justified that thought to say, we got to just keep pushing forward. We're in a great position right now to help a lot of people who pay a lot of money to these brokerages, that I think people will start to really look at this differently as we move forward. So
100%.
Steve, thank you so much for this. You provide a lot of value tonight.
Anytime, my pleasure.
And so we'll keep pushing. You guys stay safe. If you guys have any questions for me or for Steve, hopefully you're okay with people reaching out to you, Steve. You guys can always go to.
Absolutely.
Awesome. You guys can go to joinbrookstonerealtors.com to find out more information or reach out to me directly. And we'll start doing more and more of these. But Steve, again, thank you so much. Hopefully you and your family stay safe, and we'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it, Brandon. Good night.
You got it. Good night, Steve.
Take care.